It is very crucial and it is very important for us to understand how the cluster works. So if we take any application server, it may be a Tomcat, Jboss, WebSphere, or WebLogic. Each and every application server has the core concept same, like uh, cluster members communicating with each other, and they are using message broadcasting communication, message broadcasting for inter-cluster communication and node discovery process and session replication and what else? Failure detection and load balancing. So these all concepts are same in each and every application server. But the approach and the mechanism is different in each and every application server, right? So, meaning we are talking about the tool. We are not talking about the mechanisms or um, the procedure concept. No, the concept and the core components, everything is same. For example, here in JBoss, it uses JGroups, but it is not available in WebSphere and WebLogic. So in WebSphere, there is a core group. In WebLogic, again, there is a separate component, right? So here it uses mod cluster, but in WebSphere and WebLogic, there is no concept of mod cluster. Mod cluster is separately designed for JBoss or Wildfly. Mod JK supports Tomcat and JBoss, but mod cluster supports only Jboss or Wildfly. So these are some, interview questions. From this, you will get a lot of interview questions. All right. So theoretically, you should be very sound. And I suggest even the candidates who enroll for offline go through this document multiple times and go through this recording multiple times so that you can understand the concept, the inter-cluster communication. This includes lots of information. We will talk about EJBs, we will talk about HA singleton services, InfiniSpan, JMS, EJB clustering, failure detection, load balancing, and JGroups. And there are lots of protocols that we are going to discuss. All right. So just focus and try to understand the concept, and yeah, it will be well and good. Because you will get many interview questions from this. And also the practical implementation, it will be easy. Uh, and in terms of troubleshooting an issue when you're working in a distributed and a clustered and a multi-node environment. All right. So let us start. In JBoss cluster, each cluster, in order to form a cluster, it has some core components. It should contain core components, and these core components, everything, all the core components uh, coordinate each other in order to in order to provide us with high availability, right? So that is the agenda of a cluster. So let us see what are the core components. First of all, JGroups. It is a low-level group communication and discovery. So this is a single line. You'll understand it in a very deep dive. We will do a very deep dive. Infinite span. It is a caching and it is used for its role is caching and session replication. So in the previous classes, we have seen session replication, and infinite span is something that caches the information, the application data for to, to improve the application performance. And mod cluster, it is a smart load balancing and dynamic node management. So this is something that mod JK and mod proxy does not do, right? So mod cluster's role is to load balance smartly and support dynamic node management. So we'll understand what is a dynamic node management and how the mod cluster does the load balancing. And HA, singleton, EJBs, JMS. These are the components, and its role is to rely on clustering for failover and coordination. Actually, so along with servlets, JSPs, HA singleton services, EJBs, and JMS also need failover and load balancing mechanisms. So, what are the limitations and how these services work in terms of failure detection, fault tolerance, and load balancing? We will see that. So, let us start with JGroups. It is a backbone of cluster communication. So, JGroups is a transport protocol used by Jboss for node to node communication in clustering. So it is a protocol actually. It has a stack in which all the different protocols and all the policies are defined. So JGroups is a Java-based toolkit that provides reliable multicast communication for group membership and message exchange between nodes in a distributed system. So in JBoss, it is the core framework behind cluster communication. So whatever happens inside cluster, that is because of JGroups. That important role is played by JGroups in a JBoss cluster. So it is the Java-based toolkit actually, and also a protocol used for node to node, means there may be multiple nodes in the cluster. So all the nodes communicate with each other. In order to make this communication happen between across all the nodes in a cluster, JGroups is used. And it provides reliable multicast communication for group membership and message exchange between nodes. So usually node to node communication happens by exchanging messages, by broadcasting them, right? So what is broadcasting? So telling everyone, meaning your TV, it is a broadcasting. BBC, British broadcasting channel, something. So broadcasting is something that letting everyone know about something. So this multicast communication or unicast communication, these are the messaging modes that is supported for cluster communication. These are the two messaging modes. And using both the messaging modes, multicast and unicast, they use different protocols based on the architecture and the networking level for cluster communication. And these messages that the nodes within the cluster exchange between each other happens with the help of messaging modes, either multicast messaging mode or unicast messaging mode. So in summary, JGroups is the core framework behind the cluster communication. So how does it work? So JGroups handles node discovery, messaging, failure detection, and membership views. So in a single line, there are lots of things. So what is node discovery? So within a cluster, each and every node has to be discovered by another node, right? Why? Because failure, if there is any failure, the other node has to take up the failed node's request, right? So failover and messaging. So this node discovery is done with the help of messaging. So I am messaging you, you are replying me. So I know that you are okay, you are reachable, right? So this is the mode used, like mutually they are sending messages telling them that each other node is healthy and they are active, no need to worry. Failure detection. So how does this failure detection happens? It is handled by JGroups. And if I'm sending a message to someone and I'm not getting response, I have sent again to confirm. And again, I did not get response. So then I will mark the receiver as failed. I did not get any response from the party. So I am marking it as failed. So what happens when the other node is failed? Its session replication data will be used by the active node in order to proceed with the rest of the session, user's session execution. And if a node is marked as failed, then the cluster will not send requests to the failed node. And membership views. Okay, every few seconds or minutes, based on the failure detection, messaging, and node discovering policies, this is a list prepared by your cluster. And this list is represented to the front end Apache. Why? We have to let Apache know that, okay, in my cluster, there are these many members active. So in the last class, we have seen we have opened the load balancer manager. So in that, we have seen active members. Active members, there were two. So it means someone is giving the data to the load balancer, proxy balancer. And who is giving the data? JGroups is giving the data. And how it gives the data? With the help of this list, membership view list. So in this list, it contains the total number of active members. If there is a node failure or any JBoss instance in the cluster is crashed or split brain. So we'll talk about this split brain later. Uh, then it will update its list by removing the failed or crashed server from the list. And it sends the data to the balancer manager, and the balancer manager will stop sending the request to the failed instance. So in a single line, these many things, and going further, we'll discuss again uh, how these all things work. So communication is performed using a stack of protocols. It may happen the communication. Which communication? Node-to-node communication in clustering. It may happen either using TCP or UDP. These are the two protocols used for message exchange between node to node for communication and used by InfiniSpan, EJB clustering, and other HA singleton services. So InfiniSpan, it supports session replication and also caching. So what is caching? It is something that for easy access, the frequently accessed data is cached and it reduces the execution time and processing on your server. So it reduces the load on your server by caching the frequently accessed application data and session replication. So that is a role of Infinity. And what JGroups does in